Hello friends, my name is Aubrey. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. So I apologize for being fairly absent lately. I have just been very stressed between work and health and just all sorts of things. In fact, I am still very stressed. So today's video, I thought it would be nice to talk about something that I enjoy, namely dragons. I love dragons. I love dragons in stories. I love them in books, in movies, in TV shows, in video games. I have loved dragons since I was very little. They've always been like my favorite fantastical creature. And I have amassed quite a stack of priority dragon reads. So books that I am either 100% confident or at the very least fairly positive have dragons as a big focus in them that are on my priority shelves. And so I just kind of thought it would be fun because I have been trying to think about different projects that I might want to do on YouTube, and one that I was thinking would be really fun would be to do recommendations for dragon books. But in order to do that, I feel like I need to read more, at least make somewhat of a dent in my huge dragon-themed TBR. And that's what we're going to talk about today, are all of the books that I have on my priority shelves that involve dragons. And just kind of look at them, see which ones I'm really interested in reading sooner rather than later. Just kind of like go through and have a nice, calm, relaxing little chat about some dragon stories. And I would love to hear you guys' opinions, like if there are any of these that you think I should prioritize over others, any you think I should read sooner rather than later. And I do have, in some of these books, I have like sequels and further ones in the series. We're just going to talk about the one that I can actually start first. So either the first book in a series or like the next book in a series if I've already started it. And so we have quite a few to get through here. You guys are going to kind of see my dragon obsession really coming out in full force. Okay, so are these all of the dragon books that I have on my priority TBR? Honestly, I'm not sure. There could very well be more that are going to involve dragons in some way, which obviously would make me happy. But as I said, these are the ones that I have convinced myself, either because it's obvious or just because I think that there are, that they are going to contain dragons as like a pretty significant part of the plot. So the first one that I have here is actually a collection of short stories that are interconnected, and that is A Day at the Dragon Shelter. So this is a book that I got from a Kickstarter, and it contains stories from each of these authors, and all of the stories are centered around a dragon shelter known as the City of Lakes Dragon Shelter. So this project was actually based off of a real person named Sylvia Holiday who works at an animal shelter. She does animal rescue. And that is where the inspiration for this book came from. So essentially, obviously, it involves an animal shelter that rescues dragons. And I think that it's going to be heartbreaking, as animal shelters are in the real world, but also hopefully very uplifting, and hopefully there will be a lot of very positive stories in here. I am really excited to read this. I am just a little bit nervous though, because while I do enjoy a good short story, sometimes reading a whole lot of short stories back to back can start to be a little bit much. But at the same time, I feel like since this is a collection of short stories that are going to involve the same, potentially people, characters, the same setting, I feel like they do need to be read together. So I'm not sure. I feel like I just really need to be in the mood to read this. And this edition is illustrated. Each of the stories does have an illustration that I think was done potentially by the author. So like you can see the different art styles. So that's really cool. I also have the non-illustrated paperback edition as well. And I had been putting off reading it until I got the illustrated one because I did want to be able to see those illustrations as I read the stories. But now I just I feel like I need to be in the mood for a short story collection, and I'm just not really sure that I am at the moment, but I am still very excited about this, and I do still really like the premise, so we shall see when I get to it, but I am very excited about this one. Like, as someone who's worked in veterinary medicine and has, you know, like, is a big proponent of animal rescue and adoption and stuff, I just think seeing themes that I really care about transcribed into fictional stories and transcribed into like fantasy worlds, I just love that stuff. I think that it can be very powerful for getting across certain messages, so I am very excited for that one. And then this next one is, again, very obviously about dragons, and that is A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. This is the first book in a memoir by Lady Trent. And what I'm excited most about this one is that it takes a naturalistic, zoological approach to dragons. So instead of being told like a fantasy, which I love, don't get me wrong, I love the mystical, magical dragons, but this one is taking a very biological stand on them, as if like, if they are real creatures, how would we study them? And it's also, I love naturalism. I love zoology. My bachelor's degree is actually in biology, with a real focus on the study of like animals, anatomy, zoology, that sort of thing. And so this kind of stuff is like candy to me. I love it so much. I have had this book though for quite a long time. I don't really know why I haven't started it, unless it's just that it is one of those like longer running series that for some reason I've just been putting off because I kind of convinced myself that I needed to make a dent in my ongoing series before I started any more, especially bigger ones. And I've decided, which I've said in a previous video this year, that that is a silly, silly thought. And I need to just read what I want. So if I want to start new series, I'm going to do so. And this is one that I'm very excited to start. It also really reminds me, I have no idea if they're going to be the same, but the premise reminds me a lot of Airborne by Kenneth Opel, which also has like this sort of naturalistic, we are discovering new species and how do we study them while also protecting them. Yeah, so I don't know. I really hope that's what I'm gonna get from this. I'm just really looking forward to like field notes and our main character, Lady Trent, being very into zoology and just really getting a sense for these creatures as if they truly existed today in our world. I just think it's going to be delightful. So this one is definitely a contender for a dragon book that I might be reading sooner rather than later. Alright, continuing on with the trend of very obviously involving dragons, although this one has a very different vibe to the first two. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the next one. Forget I said anything. So the next one is Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons. This is the first Miss Percy book by Quinby Olson. I know that in this one we have kind of an unlikely heroine who ends up inheriting a dragon egg. She's someone who like doesn't want any sort of adventure in her life, ends up inheriting a dragon egg in a world where dragons supposedly don't exist, and suddenly is like the mom to this baby dragon and has to care for them and raise them. And somehow that potentially brings romance into her life, I think. I just think this is going to be so adorable. So adorable. And again, it sounds like she's going to be studying up on dragons as a species, which I love, while also, like, being someone who has, like, this new little creature to care for. And I love animals, and I love interacting with them and taking care of them, and I just think this is going to be wonderful. Like, I don't know. I would love to have a baby dragon. Like, I would love to be this lady in this book. So this is definitely one that I would like to read sooner rather than later. And I believe the series is complete at 3 books, I think. I could be wrong. but I think it is. Also, I'm enjoying the like romance side plot that I'm pretty sure it's this one that I've heard that it has a nice little romance on the side. So I'm looking forward to that because that might be really nice and wholesome. Alright, and then we move to one that is quite different. This is like 100% cozy romance, and that is Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi. This one is just cute and cozy. We have a cafe where you can take your baby dragons, and the owner is struggling financially, and she meets this guy who has a baby dragon who he is having difficulty like training, handling. She's gonna help and get paid, and romance ensues. So this one just sounds very, very cute and cozy. It is the first book in a series, which I believe is called Baby Dragon. I could be wrong about that. But you can see next year, the second book, the Baby Dragon Bookshop, will be coming out. So yeah, again, this one just sounds really cozy, really sweet, really wholesome. I'm wondering if I want to save this for spring, or if this would be really nice to read either in the fall or over the winter. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, I just think this one sounds really cute. So whenever I'm in the mood for something cute, maybe I can combine it with a nice dragon story. That might be an idea. Alright, this next one, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like everyone has read this book except me. And I don't actually know how much it involves dragons. All I know is there is a really, really large dragon on the cover. So I am assuming that at least in the first book in this series, dragons are going to play a role. And I'm assuming it's going to be a significant one. Like, I know... Okay, I guess maybe I should just show the book before I talk. That is The Shadow of the Gods. This is the first book in The Bloodsworn by John Gwynne. I've never read a John Gwynne book, and I want to so desperately. And this is the one that I own, so I feel like I'm probably just going to start here. And as you can see, we have a giant dragon on the cover. So I know that there, I believe, are some Ragnarok elements in this. So I'm unsure if that is the only way in which the dragon is going to come into play. I am not overly familiar with the lore surrounding Ragnarok. I do know about Hela? Is that how you say her name? I'm very unfamiliar. And Sleipnir and Jormungandr? I'm, again, very unfamiliar, so, like, please, if you know how to say these and you want to put some, like, phonetic guides in the comments, I would be very appreciative. And what is the big wolf's name? Fenrir? Right? Fenrir, I think. So I'm familiar with certain characters. I'm very unfamiliar with a dragon. I don't know about a dragon in Ragnarok, and maybe that's just my own ignorance. It very well could be. So, I don't know. I don't know how much the dragon is going to play a part, but I put it on this list because it's on the cover. And I do really desperately want to read a John Gwynne. I really want to read is it The Faithful and the Fallen or The Fateful and the Fallen? I'm not sure. I think it's The Faithful and the Fallen. If you know, please tell me that as well. I would appreciate it. I really want to read that series because I've just heard so many amazing things about it. But again, this is the John Gwynne book that I currently own, so I feel like I should probably read it first and just go ahead and start with this series. Since I did buy this before I was really familiar with any of his other works. And I am trying to be good and not just go out and buy every single book that catches my fancy this year. And so probably start with this one. I don't know when. I don't know why I keep putting this off. Because especially now that it's completed, it's a trilogy and all 3 books are out. So I really don't know when I will read it. I don't know why I haven't yet. I will say I absolutely adore the scale on the cover, that we can see the dragon here and then the human down here. I really love when we get to see, you know, the actual scale of creatures and characters in fantasy stories, because sometimes when it's described, it can be pretty hard to picture. But I mean, you can picture it, but it feels just like on a different level when you get to actually see that difference. So yeah, I don't know. I've heard so many good things about John Gwynne, and I do really want to read something of his. So I feel like I just need to read it. I just need to do it. So maybe this one is a contender for being read sooner rather than later. Maybe so. The next one I know is definitely a dragon book, and that is The Dragons of Deepwood Fen. This is the first book in the Book of the Holt by Bradley P. Beaulieu? I'm unsure. But look at that. We have clearly a dragon rider story, and I do believe that we have kind of a character who is maybe like an underdog sort of, not really villain, but like, what is the word I'm trying to think of? Like renegade, not exactly renegade, but someone who is not heroic, becoming the hero. I'll probably think of the word later at some point. I did not get much sleep last night, so I'm sorry if I seem at all out of it, but I feel like we're getting that like non-heroic character becoming a hero, and also there seems to be like this sort of forced teamwork going on because one character rescues another and they kind of get stuck fleeing together. It also seems like there is some conspiracy in here, which I always find fun when it's done really well. So all of that plus the whole Dragon Rider aspect, yeah, I just think it's going to be really fun. So I do love my Dragon Rider stories. So that instantly makes this one a bit higher up on the list. But I don't know. It is somewhat newer, so I feel like I almost probably should read some of my older ones first, but that's also a silly thought to have. It also sounds like we're going to have a really cool, like, forest, arboreal setting, which I'm also a sucker for, so this one sounds very promising. And then we have one that shames me every time I look at it on my unread shelf, and that is Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. This is the first book in the Bound and the Broken. Why have I not read this yet? I also have the first novella, which is called The Fall, and I had planned to wait until The Fall came out and just read them together, and then I haven't done it. Why? Why have I not done it? I have this absolutely gorgeous edition from the Broken Binding. I have The Fall. It's here. It's in my possession. I've had it for quite a while. I just don't know why I haven't started it. I think maybe it might also be that kind of, like, worry that I shouldn't start new series, especially bigger series, and the books, the non-novella books, like the novel-length entries in this series, get quite huge as the series goes on, but I just need to. It's Dragon Rider fantasy with a unlikely hero. I know that there are a lot of classic classic fantasy elements in here, like elves and magic, and I don't know, so many people praise this series so highly, and it is coming to a close very soon, so I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to quit putting it off. You know what? I'm gonna fold this little bookmark. I need to just quit putting it off and read this because I really think I'm gonna like it. But I also think maybe that's where part of the hesitation comes from, is like, what if I don't love it as much as I've convinced myself I'm going to love it? I don't know if anyone else ever feels like that. But again, that's silly, because if I don't, putting it off isn't gonna make me love it anymore. So I need to just try it. Oh, sorry, it's got some fuzz on it where I laid it on my rug. Anyway, yeah, Of Blood and Fire is definitely high on the list. Definitely high on the list. And then we can kind of count The Fall just put them together as like a 2-for-1. Then the next two, once again, I don't know how much they actually involve dragons. First we have Isla's Reach, which is the first book in the Breadths and Depths by Francisca Liliana. Again, it has a dragon on the cover, and I know that I have heard about this. Oh, it does have dragon riders. Okay, it does have dragon riders, and our main character bonds with the last dragon, so there we go. It's definitely going to be a dragon book. And I've heard that this also just has overall incredible animal companions, and that again is something that I absolutely love to see in books, especially in fantasy. So it sounds like we're also going to have kind of a motley crew. Hopefully there will be some good found family in here, but I'm also just really loving this cover. So yeah. This one is also really high on my list. Again, I don't really know why I haven't read it yet. Is there another book out in this series? Maybe that's why. Maybe I kind of was afraid it would take a while for the next one to come out, so I was like kind of hesitating. But I don't know. This one is definitely high on my list just because it has so many things that appeal to me that I have heard other people talk about, and also now that I've reminded myself of the premise and see that it is about a dragon rider, that makes me so excited. Makes me so excited. Yeah. And we have a war going on, or a war in the past that has like caused the downfall of the riders and their dragons. Yeah, this sounds really cool. This sounds very cool. I am very excited for this. Okay, but this one, I really don't know how much it involves dragons, but that is King's Dragon. This is the first book in Crown of Stars by Kate Elliott. This is an older fantasy. It was published in 1997, so I was 4. Well, I turned 4 at the end of 97, so I was 3. Probably when this was published. How much does this involve dragons? Do we have any hints in the synopsis? Okay, there are winged riders. So there we go. Winged riders. So possibly dragon riders? Possibly dragon riders. Ooh, we also have a half-elf who's possibly a prince or a lordling. That's exciting. An otherworldly race. A threat of a civil war, like with a fight for the crown. Okay, this is really exciting. Very, very, very exciting. I am hoping that we have some actual dragon content in here. But I don't know if King's Dragon refers to actual dragons. It may just refer to whoever this is, who seems to be a big fan of the dragon motif. Not that I can blame them. But I don't know. Either way, I am really excited to read this. I kind of forgot I had it for a while, and then when I remembered, I was like, this sounds so neat. And I really do want to read more classic fantasy. Not that it's like necessarily a goal to read every classic fantasy or anything like that, but I want to look into some more classic fantasy series and see which ones actually appeal to me. And this one is one that I found in a used bookstore, and the cover immediately caught my attention. And when I read is this the one that has the cool dedication? No, it's not. Okay, that was a different one that had a really cool dedication. But when I read the synopsis, I do remember, even though apparently I had forgotten quite a bit about it, I did remember just really finding the synopsis intriguing. So this one is one that I really do definitely want to read. It may not be a dragon book, but it does sound like it's going to have a lot of elements that I'm really, really going to like in a very classic fantasy story. So that is something that I'm really interested in, and this is a series, so I don't know how many books are in it. Does it say in here? This is a hardcover, so this may be like a first printing. It may not say. It does not seem to say. That's kind of cool though, that it's a first printing. But I don't know how many books are in the series, but I'm definitely up for trying it. So, I also really like the constellation imagery that we get on the cover. I think it's really pretty. So, yeah, there's that one. It may not be a dragon book, but I'm still very, very excited for it. Okay, this next one is a trilogy, and I do actually have all 3 books because I got them as a set of special editions from, was it Rainbow Crate? I believe, yes, it was from Rainbow Crate. And that is, what is the series name? Court of Broken Bonds. So the first book is Heir to Thorn and Flame, and the series is by Ben Alderson. I do believe that it is a romance, and our main character, yeah, he has like had to serve nobles. I'm not sure if it's in like a servant capacity or a slave capacity, and now he's suddenly become a noble, and because he has a very rare sort of magic. So he ends up having to take the place of the prince. There are dragons involved. I'm assuming he is going to ride dragons. There's a potentially love interest who rides dragons. I don't know. I have no idea. I really hope I like it because I do have all 3 books and they're very pretty. I have heard that there is a bit of a love triangle in the series and that it can be a bit... What is the word that I want to use? Because I tried not to really get any spoilers, but I did unfortunately see something. The love triangle can be a bit tragic. I think there are some darker elements in here. Again, I'm not sure because I really do my best to avoid spoilers for things that I have not myself read or watched or played, unless I'm just not interested in reading or watching or playing them and just want to know what happens. But if I am at all interested, I do try to avoid spoilers. So it was just something that I had seen when I was looking up if there were, like, because I had seen one of his other series and I was trying to look up to see if they were interconnected. I don't think they are, but I could be wrong. But I did see something about a love triangle that potentially has a very poor ending. So we'll see. We'll see. So that makes me a little hesitant because I'm not really a fan of love triangles at all. I very much prefer my characters to just be in love and be happy together. I don't really like the love triangle drama personally. I know that some people really, really love that in their stories, but it's just not something that I enjoy. So that does make me nervous, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I like it, and it is a dragon book, so it is on this list, although it may not be read as soon as some of these others. Okay, the next one is cheating just a little bit. Probably this is not going to have very much at all to do with dragons, but there are dragons in this world. So I don't know, they may be in here. We'll see. But that is the first Dragon Age novel, The Stolen Throne by David Gator. So I have mentioned in a previous video where I did a review on the Veilguard, which is the most recent game in the Dragon Age franchise, that I really want to go back through because I've never read any of the content that's like outside of the games. Like I've never read the novels or the comics. There were like some movies that came out that I haven't seen. So I want to go back through because I love the games so, so dearly and just go through all of the Dragon Age content in the order in which it came out. So we're going to be starting with The Stolen Throne because it did come out before Dragon Age Origins, I'm pretty sure. I have a master list like in the notes app on my phone where I went through and I checked the release dates for every bit of Dragon Age media and put them in order. And I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident we start with The Stolen Throne. I also can't check right now though because I'm filming on my phone. So, but yeah, wherever we start, Stolen Throne or not, I would like to read some Dragon Age soon. Sooner rather than later. And Dragon Age does have dragons in it. There are dragons in the games. So there could very well be dragons in the stories, in the novels, and in the comics. I really just don't know. But I'm including it on this list just in case, and because I love Dragon Age so very, very dearly, and I really, 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 really want to read some Dragon Age soon. So, it gets to be on this list. Okay. Next, we have a book that definitely involves dragons, and that is The Iron Crown, which is the first book in Dragon Spirits by L.L. McCrae. I really don't remember much about what this is about. I know that we have two characters who end up somehow involved in, like, something to do with spirits and magic, and our one character wakes up completely without his memory, facing a dragon spirit. And that's how, like, that's his first memory of life. So yeah, I think that sounds really intriguing. Again, I don't know how much the dragons are going to actually be involved or how draconic they will be, as opposed to like a spirit that just takes the form of a dragon. I don't know, but the series itself is called Dragon Spirits, so I have very high hopes. And this is absolutely beautiful. I also am kind of a sucker for a character. I mean, it's not like the amnesia trope itself, it's just like this idea of someone who seems so innocent and yet is so willing to like do the right thing, which I'm hoping is what we're gonna get here. Like, even though this character doesn't have his memories, he becomes embroiled in this conflict that's going on, and potentially there's a bit of the chosen one trope, I'm not sure. That's just me making guesses, so don't quote me on that. But I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I really do find myself like really feeling for characters that just have something going on that's just they're making their situation that much harder. I don't know. We shall see how I feel about this one, but it is definitely like higher up on the list, I think. Okay, the next book that I have is Novice Dragon, which is the first book in Dragoneer Academy by E.E. Knight. This is, again, a dragon rider story. We have our main character going to join an academy to train to become a dragon rider. And she's kind of the underdog. The other character is very rich. So I think that that sounds very cool, especially because she is like getting involved in, it says that there are like dragon dancers, and there's a sickly old dragon with a mysterious past who she's caring for. I don't know, I just feel like this is going to be really fun, because this sounds like a coming of age academic setting, but with dragons, and I think that sounds fun. Like the focus seems like it's going to be more on her and her development at this academy, as opposed to some really, really grand adventure. And that could very well change, because this is the first in a series. I don't know if any other books are out yet, but I don't know. I just think that this sounds like it's going to be very big-hearted, and yet still have all of the wonderful dragony goodness that I love. I guess I should say draconic goodness. Anyway, so yeah, I think that that one is going to be really good. So again, that one, I think I'm leaning more towards reading when I'm in the mood for like that kind of coming of age younger protagonist in my story. And then we have another book that involves dragons, but I think that these are dragons, at least our main character, who can take human form, and that is The Reborn King, which is the first book in The Dragon's Blade by Michael R. Miller. Michael R. Miller also is writing Songs of Chaos, which you will see later in this stack, and which I'm currently reading, and this is one of his older series. And I just think that we're going to have this kind of redemption arc for this character who is really, really powerful, doing some maybe not so good things, and suddenly finds himself in a very helpless position with this chance to to have a second chance and to live his life differently. That's the impression that I get from the synopsis for this one. And our main character is, it says, the Prince of Dragons. So there is a dragon's blade that only he can wield. I don't know, again, how much dragon content there will be in this, where we have actual dragons doing draconic things. I don't know, but I'm still very excited for it. And I do really like the way that Michael R. Miller writes dragons in Songs of Chaos. So once I started Songs of Chaos, I think I had read the first 2 books, and then I was like, yep, I like this one. So I got this one so that whenever I'm in the mood, I can start his other series. Okay, then we have a dragon sci-fi, which is not something that I really see ever. And so when I saw this and read the premise, I was instantly super excited. And that is The Last Dragon on Mars. This is the first book in The Dragon Ships by Scott Rankton. And this one we have like dragons that are bound to planets, and like Earth, when people took her over, it was Earth, or was it Mars? No, it was Mars. The dragon for Earth, like, I think sacrificed herself to make it habitable. And so then when people started to expand, they were like, hey, if it takes the death of a dragon to make it habitable, then we will just kill a dragon to make a new planet ready for us. However, the dragon they killed was the dragon of Mars, and it cursed the planet. So now they're eking out a very, very meager and difficult existence. But then we have a group of children who find something interesting. I think we can all probably guess what that something is. And again, it sounds like we're going to have a younger protagonist. I know that this one is either middle grade or YA. I can't remember which it is. I think it's middle grade. Yeah, ages 10 and up. So this one is a middle grade. So this one I will definitely save for whenever I am in the mood for a middle grade. The second book has either come out or is coming out soon. I can't remember. So this is a series that if I like the first book, I will be able to read the second one pretty soon. So I am really intrigued in this because, again, dragons in space is such a neat concept, and I know that we've seen some of that recently, but this one sounds like it's going to lean very heavily into those sci-fi elements that people know and love, and so I'm excited for it. I am definitely excited for it. But again, I do think it's going to wait until I'm really in the mood for a middle grade, and I don't know when that will be because I am having to read quite a few middle grades right now, preparing things either as fun reads or as novel studies for my 5th graders. So this one may have to take a backseat until I may be a bit burnt out on middle grades for a while, but I am still very excited for that one. And then we have another one that definitely has dragons, but is much more romance focused, and that is The Last Dragon of the East by Katrina Kwan. This one is I think it's Chinese. So a Chinese setting with a romance. One of our characters is a dragon, I think. And the other one is looking for dragon scales to use as medicine. And then as you can see, we have what appears to be the red string of fate, which is a trope that I very, very much enjoy. So again, if I'm in the mood for a more mythological dragon story with romance, then this one is going to be the way that I go. It's also quite short. So I also really just like Chinese settings in books. I think that they're really fun. And this one seems very historical, very, like I said, mythological, and has tropes that I really like, plus dragons, and dragons in Chinese mythology are so interesting. So I am really excited to read that one. Again, it's just going to be when I am in the mood for a romance. Okay, this next one, I'll show you why it's on this list. But I am going off the assumption, has nothing to do with the premise, it's just the assumption based off of a piece of art, that there's going to be a very, very large dragon. And that is The Silver Blood Promise. This is the first book in The Last Legacy by James Logan, and this is the piece of art to which I am referring. Do you see the giant dragon right there? Yes, this is beautiful. This piece of art is one of the reasons I got the Broken Binding Special Edition, if I'm being completely honest. I just think it is gorgeous. And yeah, that's why I think there's going to be a dragon in here. That's why it's on this list. Do I know how much of a role the dragon will play? Absolutely not. But I do know that this is a fantasy murder mystery, and I love a good murder mystery. I also have recently discovered I love a good fantasy murder mystery. Not that I had any doubt that I would, it's just that I have read some that I have very much enjoyed. So, I'm very excited for that one. I actually really wanted to read it like last month, and then I just didn't get around to it, unfortunately. But I do really, really, really want to read it. And the second book, The Blackfire Blade, comes out, I believe, later this year, so I need to read it sooner rather than later. Believe it or not, we are approaching the end. So the next book that I have is The Prince Without Sorrow. This is the first book in the Obsidian Throne by Maithri Wijesekara. And again, I'm literally just assuming because of the adorable little dragon on the cover art. I love this cover art so much, and I can't really explain why. But I know that we have a prince and a witch who are on opposing sides and are like trying not to become the things that they hate. And that's really as much as I remember. But I love this cover. It has a really cute little draconic serpent of some sort on it, so hopefully we get some dragon content. Okay. Again, for this next one, I don't know how involved dragons are going to be, but I can make an educated guess. I have now received all 3 books in the Rift War saga, which is the first series in Rift War by Raymond D. Feist. This is book 1, Magician. And there are dragons on the first and the 3rd books. So, I'm assuming that this dragon, and others as well, are going to play a significant role, if not in this first book, at least in the series. Plus, the Rift War saga just sounds so neat. It sounds like there's potentially dimensional travel, again, unlikely young protagonist becoming the hero. And it's one of those series that is so well loved, and I really want to know why. Also, I want to know why Magician is so big, but the other 2 are so much smaller. I'm just really interested to know how this story is broken up, that it like ended up that way, you know what I mean? So yes, this one is one that I do really want to read. And I know that Rift War, like, as a whole, is so much longer than this, but I could at least read the Rift War saga in its entirety because I do have all 3 books in that trilogy in this world. So that is also a plus, to know that once I start it, I would be able to get to some sort of conclusion. Not to say that I would stop there, but I mean, like, at that point, I would have at least finished one series in this bigger series, you know what I mean? Then this next one I really want to read really soon, because stuff that Elliot Brooks has said about it, she read it recently, and it's just made me so much more excited because she said that there is a huge focus on friendship in this, and I love that, so I'm so excited. But that book is Dragon Mage. This is the first book in Riven World. Yes? I think it's called Riven World. By M.L. Spencer. Look at the cover. Look at the cover. It's so pretty. So pretty. But I know we have a character who, like, has this ability. He comes from a very, like, unassuming background, but he ends up having this ability that, like, people would kill him for. And there's, like, friendship, and there's dragons, and there's magic, and that's all I really know, and that's all I really want to know before I start it. But yeah, I really want to start this one soon. I really do, because it sounds so up my alley and so good. And I don't think the second book is out in this series. I think it's just this one so far, which is kind of, again, why I was putting it off for so long. But not really putting it off, just like not grabbing it when I was choosing a new book. It wasn't like I was intentionally saying, nope, I'm going to wait on that one. It was just how it ended up being. But now I really want to read it. Like, so I'm just so excited. So this one is, like, probably tippy top of the list at the current moment. Yeah, I'm so excited. I really want to read this. Alright, just 3 books left. The next one is the next book in a series that I have already started. It's the only one on this list that falls into that category, and that is Defiant. This is book 3 in Songs of Chaos, as I said, by Michael R. Miller. I really, really I loved the first 2 books, Ascendant and Unbound. And I mean, I loved them. It's a Dragon Rider fantasy. Our main character, again, not supposed to be a Dragon Rider. He's actually the son of a cook, but he ends up saving a, like, deformed dragon egg from destruction, because apparently dragons will destroy any eggs that they find not perfect. And when the blind baby dragon inside hatches, he names him Ash, and they end up bonding and become dragon and rider, and they have to face off against this terrible, terrible magical plague called the Scourge, and it just gets so much more depth to it in the second book. Like with all of this information that you're learning about the world and the history and why things are the way they are, and you're learning things about the Scourge and about the dragons, and just I really, really loved the first 2 books, so I don't know why I haven't read the third one. There's no reason. I just haven't, but I need to. I also have the novella that goes along with the series, which is Last Stand of the Stonefist. This also has a novella from, I believe, is it the Dragon's Blade series, or is it a different one? I'm not sure. So I have that as well. So I really need to read this because I really love it. So this is also potentially very high up on the list. And book 4 is coming out soon, so this one needs to be read. Probably pretty soon, just because I miss Holt and Ash. I want to know exactly what's going on with them and their little motley crew. So, alright, so then we have Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu. This is the first book, and is it Soulbound or Soul Bond? It's something like that. It's Soul something. And in this one we have someone who has been very subjugated, is able to escape and steal a dragon egg. And obviously it's called Dragon Rider, so I'm assuming he is going to then bond with the dragon inside of the egg. And we're going to have, again, another character who isn't supposed to be a Dragon Rider who becomes one, and again, I am a sucker for that. So this one, that I really don't know that much more about it, honestly. It sounds like there's going to be maybe a coup, maybe a rebellion against a conquering empire, so that's very intriguing. So yeah, I don't know. I am very excited for this one. I don't know where it falls on the list because I am excited, but like I'm excited about so many of these, you know? And then the last one, I really want to read this so badly. And again, I don't know how much it's going to involve dragons, but there is a dragon on the cover. And there are dragons in one of the other series in this world, I know for a fact. So that is Rise of the Ranger. This is the first book in the Echo Saga by Philip C. Cointrell. That's the first series in Verda. And as you can see, there's a dragon. And I know that a later series in this bigger series has a big focus on dragons, so... but I have to get there, you know what I mean? I have to get to that point. So I need to start here with the Echo Saga. However, the Echo Saga is, I think, 9 books long, and I only own the first one, and that's literally the only reason I haven't read it yet, is because it's going to be so expensive to get the other books, and I want to get them in hardcover so they match all of my editions, because I have some other books in this world from the Broken Binding, and they're in hardcover, and I want them all to match and look nice together, and I know that that's like... not really a problem, but it is kind of a problem for me because I'm OCD, so I want them to match, if at all possible. And so yeah, that's literally the only reason that I haven't started this, is because I haven't really wanted to commit the funds to buying the other 8 books in the Echo Saga, and then also have to get the next series as well after that before I can even get to the Broken Binding ones that I have in the newest series. But I am so excited for this. Like, I'm not saying it would be a chore to get through these. I guess that's not really a good terminology to use. It's just the money is the only like pushback I have. But this sounds so good. Potentially immortal main character. Maybe like part of another race. I'm not really sure, because there are elves in this world, and there's like conflict between elves and humans, and then we also have a dragon on the cover. So I really want to start Verda. I really want to start Verda. So someone hype me up for it, and like, I mean, I'm already really hype. I don't think you could hype me up anymore for it. Someone, I don't know. maybe the next like series. See, once I start it, I'm gonna want to buy the rest of the series. So I just have a feeling I'm gonna love it. So maybe the next time I actually like decide to spend money on a good chunk of books, maybe it'll be Verda. So maybe I should actually just start it and give myself a reason to buy them. I don't know. We shall see. So anyway, those are all of the dragon books that I have on my priority TBR, and kind of how I'm feeling about potentially reading them. This is going to be such a pain to clean up and put all of these books back where they go. But yeah, this was actually really fun. It did kind of lift my mood a little bit, which is good. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you had fun. My fellow dragon lovers out there, maybe you found some recommendations, some things that you, not that I can recommend them necessarily because I haven't read them, but maybe you found some things that you're interested in. Again, if you've read any of these, or if you want me to read any of these sooner rather than later, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Just as always, please keep all comments spoiler free. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to leave an emoji with your comment, or if you just want to let me know you were here but you don't really have anything else to say, why don't we do a dragon emoji? I know we've done that before, but I feel like it like has to be done for this video considering the topic. So that's what we'll do. If you just want to leave an emoji with your comment or as your comment, you can put some dragons down there. I've said this before, I love that they have Eastern dragon emojis, but like we also need some Western dragon emojis. Whoever creates the emojis, give us a Western dragon added on with the Eastern dragon. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you are all having a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you are, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!